our UAE trip 2025 began early with our uncle Sriram and aunt Pushpa. We were set to explore the desert landscape outside Dubai through an immersive and authentic experience where the prime focus would be the ecology. Our uncle had made arrangements with a travel outfit called the Hero Experiences Group. We were quite thrilled to see a Land Rover Defender show up at our doorstep. It was driven by Mauricio, a Colombian who was our guide for the day. In such an iconic car and on roads like these, the going was smooth, even after we veered off the highway.
Okay, so welcome to Dubai Desert Conservation Reserve. Look at this place.
Wow. We stopped briefly for our welcome, which involved the wrapping of the Emirati headscarf around our heads. The scarf for men is called the Ghutra. It's an old cultural symbol of the Emirates, but this red and white checkered model was a fashionable update that dated back to the 1950s.
The scarf for women, called the Shayla, is wrapped and pinned tighter, making it different from the hijab. They were meant to be an initiation into Bedouin Arab culture and given as keepsakes.
Yay! Oh, nice!
As we prepared to leave, Mauricio was airing down the tires of the Land Rover to reduce air pressure, which helps them grip better and reduces the risk of getting stuck. We amused ourselves during this time by using the vintage Series 1 Land Rovers stationed there as props for photo ops. There was a sense of automotive heritage here, given that these were the first vehicles to be introduced to the desert in the 1950s. When we got underway, Mauricio took center stage.
In front of us, you will see two different spots. You see the right and the left. What's the difference? The last year we got extra rains, yeah, so that's why. But anyway, why this area is still dry? Because it's raining everywhere, yeah. So before here we have some animals here, oryx.
Okay.
Arabian Oryx in this enclosure, so they eat everything, you know.
This was our introduction to the Arabian Oryx on this drive. For now though, the desert was still the sole draw.
But because of the extra rains this year, the last 12 months maybe, we got all this grass. Okay, let me show you something interesting about this grass. Just imagine 50 degrees and they were living here.
Right.
How to survive, how to get food or water. They were looking for these kind of places, deepest places, because we got humidity condensation over there.
Right.
If you can see in the higher places it's drier because the wind is pushing the humidity,
right.
the moisture.
Okay.
And over there it's condensing a little bit, it's getting down slowly. So that's why we got like a green belt only in the deep place, you see? Yeah, here we have a grass, but as I told you before, it's not permanent. Usually it's not here. Even 1, 2, 3 years ago, it was very, very dry, everything.
Okay.
Only the green belt was like a green color.
We had heard about the floods in Dubai over the past few years, but we were now seeing firsthand the impact of changing climate patterns on the desert.
This is here we have an artificial lagoon.
At the artificial lake, our birding instincts perked up. We saw a crested lark that evaded digital capture and a red wattle lapwing. We scoured for more, but this being late April, we didn't see much more.
Okay.
Yeah, usually by summer, by summer most of the birds are migrating, so no predators for them.
Okay.
So the population is increasing.
Oh, that's
and
a
also the
lot.
size.
Okay.
Sometimes we have the sizes maybe double than this one or triple.
Oh.
Then we left for our next stop, where Mauricio gave us a practical demo.
So the animals are coming to dig holes like rodents, lizards, to live around. So most of them are like small islands full of life.
Ah, okay.
So just imagine we have a plant here, and let's use real water and look what happened with the water in this dryness. Here. Look. So the wind is moving and removing the dry sand. Now we don't have any wind, but usually the wind is pushing and removing all the dry sand. And look what happened.
Oh.
See? All the humidity is here. Here is dry, so they catch the humidity from the moisture. Hold it. Interesting?
Yeah.
Next, we were in for a slice of the desert wildlife.
Sand. They call it sandfish because they are living in the softer sand dunes. Yeah, and they can they look like diving.
Right,
because
right.
the sand here is very, very light. Yeah.
And it's got a very shiny, glossy, slippery body.
Yeah.
In a few minutes, we also caught an Arabian gazelle foraging for grass. Having never seen one before, it was brilliant to see a pair sprint with a characteristically graceful jump. Then we finally saw what we've been waiting for, the magnificent Arabian Oryx. Soon we saw a full herd. Interestingly, the Arabian Oryx is a successful conservation story. It went from being extinct in the wild by the 1970s to being saved in private zoos, including Phoenix Zoo in Arizona, to being reintroduced in the wild in the 1980s. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan himself played a significant role in this revival. In 2011, it made history by becoming the first species to be upgraded to vulnerable status from extinct in the wild. Despite all this, very few people we met later seemed to know that this was the national animal.
The animals aside, Mauricio also made widely shared observations about the human residents of the land, the Emiratis.
For a long time, making a long queue to get water. For the whole day.
Wow.
Yeah? Now the grandsons are just spending the money. So this is they don't want to forget where they are coming from.
Right.
So this is very interesting. The Bedouins, for example, they already lost Bedouins in this country. There are no more Bedouin people living in the desert like before.
Okay.
The new generations prefer Netflix. They don't want to come to live like before.
Yeah.
This embrace of modernity finds its earliest echoes in the landmark piece of travel literature by Wilfred Thesiger, Arabian Sands. Thesiger was a British traveller who romanticized the desert and undertook arduous journeys through the Rub al Khali in the 1940s. This is how he describes the upheavals brought by the discovery of oil. They soon discovered it in enormous quantities, and as a result, the life I have described in this book disappeared forever. Here, as elsewhere in Arabia, the changes which occurred in the space of a decade or two were as great as those which occurred in Britain between the early Middle Ages and the present day. To this, Thesiger adds a personal note on his return to the land in the 1970s. I realized that after all these years and under these changed conditions, the relationship between us could never be as in the past. They had adjusted themselves to this new Arabian world, something I was unable to do. We parted before I went to Abu Dhabi, which I found an Arabian nightmare, the final disillusionment.
Next, we were off to the last part of our experience, Al Maha Resort. The secret of Al Maha is its desert location and the setting. This is reflected in its open air dining area that looks out into the vast desert expanse. A fitting way to cap things off. We tucked in for a wholesome brunch and we particularly relished the pancake with date crumbs and sauce. And as we signed off, we reflected on this amazing experience. In the course of the desert conservation drive, we had soaked in the fascinating landscape and its animals, including the Arabian Oryx. We had done all this from the comfort of a Land Rover. Outside the noise of Dubai, the vast silence of the desert had spoken.